At least one person has been arrested by the police as they tried to disperse a teeming crowd made up of members of the International God's Way Church who are demanding the release of the head pastor of their church, Bishop Angel Daniel Obinim.
Well, the police say the arrested woman interfered with their work when she slapped a police officer. Clad in red attire, the congregants chanted, "No Obinim, no vote," as they tried to enter the premises of the Police Criminal Investigation Department at the headquarters of the police. Our colleague Komla Adam reported that the police used water cannon to disperse the crowd, but they were unmoved as they continued chanting.
Okay, so we are currently standing a few meters away from the police CID headquarters where scores of sympathizers of Bishop Daniel Obinim have converged in solidarity with their bishop who was arrested last night over a fraud case. If you can see behind me, the police are having to deal with the crowd who amassed there a while ago. They had to use water cannons to disperse the scores of people who had amassed here at the police CID headquarters in solidarity with the embattled preacher Bishop Daniel Obinim.
And that's Komladum there. But we have Fred Smith at the location where we're hoping that Bishop Angel Obinim is being kept, and it's the Nima Police Station, Mamavi.
Fred Smith, good morning. What's happening at the Nima Police Station?
Well, good morning to you, Mamavi and Roland. This morning, there's not much happening at the Nima Police Station. The police officers on duty here have told me that Bishop Daniel Obinim was moved to another location. This location they're not prepared to disclose, and they've also warned the wife and other close relatives not to disclose that to anyone. The reason is that 2 days ago when he was arrested, the supporters stormed here, and the police didn't like the behavior they put up, and therefore they didn't want that to happen again. The officers are unhappy that some of them slept here. Many of them were stranded. Some came from Tamakumasi and other places where Bishop Daniel Obinim runs his churches, and they don't want that to happen. So they've sent him somewhere else, and I'm sure the members are aware of that, and so they are not here. A few suspect that he may be in there. So they have come here. I've seen 3 young men who are sitting here. One of them, he's poured powder on himself. He looks very jubilant. He believes that Bishop Daniel Obinim will be released today. The police officers here have been asking him questions, and he's explaining that his mother gave him as a gift to Bishop Daniel Obinim because he was possessed, and Bishop Daniel Obinim was able to exorcise that demonic spirit from him.
But Fred, what are police officers saying? What's going to happen to him? Is he going to be taken to the courts this morning?
Yes, the criminal code, after 48 hours, the police cannot continue to hold you. If they want to continue, then they'll have to get the permission of the court. And so that's exactly what they say they're going to be doing this morning. They will have to go to a circuit court and get an extension to continue holding him if they've not finished with their investigation, or to begin the process of prosecution.
What's the exact charge, Fred, if you know? Because I think a lot of us thought it was this defrauding by false pretense, but apparently the reason they are keeping him is because of the flogging of the teenagers, the video that went viral. What is the exact charge, if you know? Well,
that's not so clear at the moment. There's been confusion really about why he's being held. At some point we hear it's because of this abuse case, child abuse case, and at some point we hear it's because of the 11.6 million cedi fraud case. Officers here have not told me exactly why he's being held, but if they'll have to go to the circuit court, I believe that it's because there's a criminal element in it, and that would be the 11.6 million fraud case.
We'll leave it here, Fred, for now. There will be more, but that's our colleague Fred Smith, who is currently at the Nima Police Station, telling us the status of Bishop Daniel Obinim.
But we have to move on to another story, because the country is likely to be plunged into total darkness this very Friday if workers of the Electricity Company of Ghana carry out a threat to protest government's bid to privatize the company.
Volta Region Chair of the ECG Senior Staff Association, Stephen Novihoho, revealed plans about the nationwide blackout during an interview on an Accra-based radio station on Wednesday. And he says if Friday's event to invite private sector participation in the 25-year concession arrangement goes through, they will ensure no home or business has power. It was all dancing and singing at the Accra East Regional Office of the Electricity Company of Ghana on Wednesday as members of the Public Utilities Workers Union kicked off a 3-hour boycott of work. Productivity came to a complete halt as the workers defied the hot weather to stage the boycotts. Well, here's our colleague Maxwell Agbagba with more.
Of the Public Utilities Workers Union yesterday announced the boycotts of their work from Wednesday to Friday. They say that it's going to be between the productive hours of 8 o'clock a.m. to 11 o'clock. Now, as it stands right now, we are at Accra East Regional Office of the Electricity Company of Ghana. And as you can rightly see, all the doors here are shut. The workers are down here in the inner perimeters of the place, and they are chanting, protesting, and singing against the privatization of the Electricity Company of Ghana. Now you can see this lady right here holding this placard. Now it reads, politicians want a place to invest their loot. That is why the concession. It also says that how many Ghanaians can pay light bills with private sector participation in place. Now let's go and see more of the placards and what they are saying. Now this one says if ECG should go on concession, then government of Ghana must go first. Ghanaians are taking directive from World Bank and not government of Ghana. Now, I have another one here which says, Mr. President, think about the plight of the ordinary Ghanaian. Concession is not the best solution to the power challenges. Now, this lady here also has this placard, and it's the same thing. Politicians want a place to invest their loot. So, the denominator for a lot of the placards here, it's about their grievances. It's about their disapproval of government's decision to privatize the Electricity Company of Ghana. Let's speak to some of the workers here and let's hear what they have to say. We have the Deputy General Secretary here with us. He's going to tell us more about how he thinks that the privatization would affect them as workers of the ECG. Now, the argument has been that with this agreement, 5 years before, if they would have to lay off workers, before that would happen. But what are you saying about this?
We have heard them, but we don't really have confidence in what they are saying. Because as for politicians, they are under pressure and they can be able to tell us something just to convince us to accept what they are saying. But in actual fact, after 5 years, what happens to these workers? After 5 years, if they decide that, okay, they will lay them off, or they will make the working conditions so bad that they cannot be able to continue to work, what happens to them? So we think that this concession is not the best option for ECG and for Ghana, and we think that we should look for something better. Because our doors are still open for further negotiations. We are ready to see the government to look at the best option for this company. But the concession option, we are saying no to it and will never back down on that decision.
Okay, so as it stands right now, all your regional offices across the country is closed between the hours of 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock.
Yes.
All the regional offices are closed.
All the regional offices, the district offices are all closed down.
What about the people who sell the prepaid, credits and all of that? Are the offices also closed, or they are there to sell the people?
They are also closed because we think that all hands must be on deck. What is before us is more heavier than what you are talking about now. We are saying that after 11 o'clock, we are ready to attend to all customers. Even if they are 100, 1,000, we are prepared to attend to them, serve them before we close. So no matter what time we finish serving them and close, we don't care. But we are saying for now, everybody should get involved.
Okay. So the General Secretary, the Deputy General Secretary is saying that all hands must be on deck. And it looks like that is what is happening here right now. Let's go inside and have a feel. Let's have a feel of what the energy is like in here with them. So you can see, there are a lot more placards.
The strike by biomedical laboratory scientists has been intensified across the country with the withdrawal of services from blood banks.
The Central Medical Laboratory, which is also one of the busiest places at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, was virtually empty at the time of our visit. The strike to force government to implement a policy to regulate the operations of laboratories has left several patients stranded. Benis Abu-Baidu visited the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital and came through with his report.
Over 3,000 members of the Ghana Association of Biomedical Laboratory Scientists have laid down their tools. This is the central laboratory of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital. On a typical day, the laboratory sees over 500 patients, but today nothing of the sort is happening. There's absolutely no activity. Right behind me, you can see that the reception desk is empty. Principal biomedical scientist at the Korle Bu Central Lab and former General Secretary of the Ghana Association of Biomedical and Laboratory Scientists, Victor Amesawu Degenu, explains why the strike has been intensified.
On the first day, we didn't call for total strike. Again, we're attending to emergencies. But the second day, we're hoping that the government will listen to our plea and come to our aid by attending to few things that we raise, launch the document and implement it, but it did not take effect. So therefore, the need to have a total strike, and that is the only language that I think the government understands better.
There's been a lot of talk about the strike and why it's necessary and whether or not this is the right means to address it, because many people think that we can't equate human life to a national policy.
As a matter of fact, you cannot equate human life to a piece of paper as you refer to it, but it's a policy guideline that will guide our practice, what we do as a professionals. In the first place, the policy will address few issues with regard to our practice. Acquisition of reagents, standard across board. All these things are issues addressed in that policy, with the sense that if you do a test right here in Korle Bu, it should be comparable to anywhere in the country.
The hematology department, where diagnosis and monitoring of diseases of the blood and blood-forming organs are done, was deserted. Some striking laboratory scientists who spoke off camera explained that the blood bank was receiving blood, but those bloods were not going to be worked on. The PRO of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, Mustafa Salifu, in a telephone interview stated it's early days to determine the impact of the strike. He added that data will be collected and the public will be made aware of the impact of the strike later. According to the PRO of the Ghana Association of Biomedical and Laboratory Scientists, Dennis Edu, the strike action will not be called off despite a suit against them by the National Labour Commission. Benis Abu-Baidu reporting for Joy News.
President John Dramani Mahama has asked Ghanaians not to risk voting a divided New Patriotic Party presided over by a dictator into office.
Addressing party supporters at Bimbilla in the northern region during a campaign tour, the president said NPP flag bearer Nana Akufo-Addo has failed to unite his party and should therefore not be voted for in the December elections. The president was playing on a disciplinary action taken by the National Executive Committee of the NPP, which upheld recommendations of the party's disciplinary committee to suspend 3 national officers for stated misbehavior. He claimed the NPP presidential candidate had been sacking party members who criticized him. President Mahama said Ghana deserved a president who can unite the nation, wondering how the NPP flag bearer could be relied upon to unite Ghana if he couldn't unite his own party. But the opposition NPP has rejected claims by the president that their flag bearer is divisive and intolerant to opposing views. Responding to the president's claim, Mustafa Hamid, spokesperson for the NPP flag bearer, said it was surprising that Mr. Mahama was playing to the gallery without a scintilla of evidence to back his outrageous claims. He said the president has proven that he had intended to ride on divisions within the opposition party to win the elections.
Private legal practitioner Ace Kojo Ananankoma says Parliament must also consider a Contempt of Court Act that offers a generally agreed definition of what constitutes contempt.
According to him, until such a law is passed by Parliament, what constitutes contempt will remain open to a range of interpretations, requiring that persons who criticize legal procedures do so cautiously.
And that's it for the news this morning. Please get interactive. 0560 800,000 is our number for our WhatsApp platform. And we're already seeing that you're giving us a lot of those messages. But please join us as we stream live on our YouTube channel, My Joy Online.
Stay with us. Up next, a look at the newspapers.
Right here.